One of the oldest mysteries of mankind is the story of Noah's Ark. Thousands of years have passed since the story of the Great Flood began, but even today, the search for evidence of it continues. In eastern Turkey, near Mount Ararat, there is a peculiar hill known as the Durupinar Formation. From above, its shape is clearly like a huge boat. Discovered in the 1950s, it has since become a central debate topic. Is this truly a work of nature, or is this actually Noah's Ark? Using modern technology such as ground-penetrating radar and soil analysis, patterns resembling those of a ship were discovered, along with traces of decaying wood and even signs of massive flooding thousands of years ago. But the big question here is this really the lost Ark? So stay until the end of this video, because the following details might change the way you look at history, science, and even faith. But before we start, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. This is a big help for us content creators. Thank you very much, and now let's begin the mysterious boat-shaped formation. At the foot of Mount Ararat in eastern Turkey, there's a hidden valley that has long captured the attention of researchers and devotees. And for mystery enthusiasts, in the middle of steep mountains, you can find a strange land formation known as the Durupinar Formation, a large hill shaped like a boat, measuring almost 538 feet long. At first glance, many immediately ask, could this be the believed Noah's Ark? It all started back in 1950, when a captain of the Turkish army flew over the area and noticed a strange shape that seemed to be carved right into the ground. And the shape was very clear, a giant boat that seemed to have been wrecked by a flood and left there to decay. News quickly spread to neighboring villages, and before long, even foreign media arrived at the site. In the 1960s, the British Broadcasting Corporation sent a film crew, followed by photographers from National Geographic, who braved the steep roads to capture stunning images. But the message brought by Durupinar goes beyond what the camera can capture. As the decades passed, more and more scientists and archaeologists from different countries came to investigate this mystery. One of them is Professor Farrak from Agri Ibrahim Setson University. In an interview with the Jerusalem Post, he recalled the first time he set foot on top of the hill. He said, "It was as if I was walking on the spine of a giant creature covered in mud and time." Their study began with the simplest steps. They measured it, mapped it, and even took samples. This is where they were amazed. The 538-foot formation's length closely matches the 300 cubits from the book of Genesis. Even the width and height are noticeably similar as well. According to an interview in Hurriyet, a well-known newspaper in Turkey, we're not saying this is the Ark, but the similarities are impossible to ignore. But as the investigation deepened, more questions also emerged. It was found to be made of limonite, a type of iron ore, and clearly shaped by the intense forces of nature. The question is, was this formed by nature, or is it truly a fossilized framework of an ancient seafaring vessel? In the year 2021, experts from Istanbul Technical University, Agri Ibrahim Setson University, and Andrews University in the United States gathered together. They used modern equipment to look inside the formation. In their drilling, they obtained samples that surprised everyone. The organic matter and potassium inside the hill are almost 3 times higher compared to the surrounding soil. According to lead researcher Andrew Jones on Fox News Digital, the results indicate the decay of wood or other organic materials that could be part of an ancient structure. Using ground-penetrating radar, they also discovered what appear to be tunnels, deck-like layers, and shapes that seem to match exactly the design of the biblical ark. This is exactly what you would expect to see if this structure was man-made, said Jones on the Christian Broadcasting Network. Additionally, it was discovered that the area was once submerged in water, with traces of clay, marine deposits, and even remains of sea creatures. According to Kaya in the Jerusalem Post, our investigation shows that this place was once inhabited by living beings and was submerged in a massive catastrophe. The results of radiocarbon dating range from 3,500 to 5,000 years ago, exactly during the period described in the Bible. Regarding the Great Flood, it's not surprising that the news exploded in the media. The New York Post released a headline saying new evidence at Durupinar Formation supports Smith of Noah's Ark. Even New Delhi Television and Fox News were surprised and reported in detail about the new discoveries. However, the number of critics also grew. For many in the scientific community, they say this is just the result of natural mud flows and erosion. According to journalist Tim Newcomb of Popular Mechanics, human activity, however, does not prove the events in the Bible. Even Sikaya, although full of energy, remains cautious. For now, we cannot say for certain that the ark is here. It will still take a long time of thorough study. But for the locals living nearby, this hill is not just a piece of land. It is a symbol of their town and a source of mystery. And for millions around the world, it remains a reminder that there are mysteries in history that, no matter how deeply buried, continue to inspire us to search, to dream, and to believe. Advanced technology unveils hidden structures. In the quiet mountains of Turkey, science's attention has once again returned to the Durupinar Formation. There has long been debate about whether this is a natural formation or the long-sought remains of Noah's Ark. Now, using advanced technology that can see beneath the ground and look back thousands of years, experts have begun to uncover the long, hidden secret. It all started with the loud hum of generators and the careful setup of ground-penetrating radar. One of the leaders of the project was Andrew Jones, a researcher who has been studying the area for several years. While he stood beside the humming machines, his statement was clear. On the camera of Science Channel's Forbidden History, we're not here to chase legends, but to let the data speak. Interestingly, many of the machine operators don't even know the site's connection to the Bible. But as the images started to appear on their monitors, their skepticism was gradually replaced by astonishment. The radar pulses penetrated the ground and returned as shadowy images of what was underneath. What appeared was not just a scatter of rocks and mud. Instead, they saw clear patterns, straight lines, rectangular shapes, and spaces that were neatly arranged. According to one of the operators interviewed by Fox News Digital, it didn't look like something made by nature. What they saw next was even more exciting. A central corridor stretching almost 234 feet, with side rooms or chambers on both sides. Perfect angles like these are rare in nature, making it seem intentionally designed. William Crabtree, the lead soil scientist of the group, could hardly believe the results. The composition of the soil inside is unusual, according to him in the Daily Mail. The level of organic matter and potassium here is higher. This suggests decayed wood or organic material was underneath. Exactos is expected if this used to be a very large man-made structure. Not only that, they also used resistivity scans, a technology that uses electricity to measure the resistance of the layers beneath the ground. The result is fascinating. It turned out that the shape of the hull of a vessel extends more than 40 feet below. Large rib-like structures curve like a ship's bones. 3 floors were also seen, seemingly separated by stairs and landings, exactly as described in the Bible about the ark. According to John Larson, an engineer from New Zealand who led the resistivity team, this is not just a pile of rocks. This structure was clearly built, not formed by accident. Because of this, the news exploded in the media once again. New Delhi Television released a headline, Noah's Ark discovered, radar scans reveal boat-shaped structure in Turkey. The New York Post, however, said the place's secrets have finally been uncovered. Jones himself spoke on the Christian Broadcasting Network, where he described the tunnel-like voids, deck-like layers, and corridors they found underground. This is exactly what you would expect to see if you were looking for a man-made ship, he said. In addition, The team also noticed that the grass on top of the formation was a different color compared to the surroundings, a sign that something underneath was having a unique effect on the soil. According to Crabtree in an interview with Newsbomb, it's like a living fingerprint, proof that there is a structure underneath that is actually changing the soil above it. Even the soil chemistry revealed a different story. The organic matter inside the formation is double compared to outside, and the potassium is 40% higher, exactly the mark of wood that has decayed for a long time. The scans also showed parts of the hull that seemed to have broken and slid before finally leaning against the large. Absolutely breathtaking. The formation's interior almost exactly matches the Ark's plan from Genesis. 3 floors, a central corridor, side rooms, and even a possible staircase. According to Jones in the Jerusalem Post, if you were to build a ship to survive a flood, this is exactly how you would design it. However, experts are still cautious. Is this really man-made or an extraordinary creation of nature? Jones asked Yeniseo. But as the evidence continues to grow, the interest of the whole world only becomes more intense. The Noah's Ark. Scans team announced that they will continue with deeper drilling and non-destructive surveys to ensure that the site remains safe despite the harsh winters and active mud flows that could destroy it. According to Crabtree, we're just at the beginning. Whatever this is, it's definitely extraordinary, and it is our duty to the whole world to find out the truth. As the sun sets behind Mount Ararat, the scientists quietly pack up. But in their minds, the same question keeps coming back. If the Earth itself holds the answer, is humanity ready for what might be revealed? Chemical imprints and soil mysteries? Beneath the grassy turf of the Durupinar site, secrets are hidden that cannot be seen. Only science, not eyesight, can find them. As the sun rises, a group of scientists bows over the strange boat-shaped hill, not to look for bones or buried treasure, but for much smaller traces, drops of evidence left behind by whatever once existed here. Every piece of soil they collect carries a story. The first scoop is almost black in color with a strong scent of wet and ancient earth. They carefully placed it in plastic bags, labeled it, and immediately brought it to a temporary laboratory filled with vial glass tubes and humming machines. The surroundings are quiet. Only whispers of anticipation can be heard. They know what they're looking for. Traces of organic material, high potassium and acidity. Signs that will show if the mound is indeed different compared to the ordinary soil around it. And when the results came in, almost all of them were stunned. The soil inside the formation has almost 3 times higher organic content than the samples taken just a few meters away. In an interview with Fox News Digital, Andrew Jones explained that the soil samples we collected had almost 3% organic material compared to regular soil. This is a strong indication of decayed wood or other organic matter. But the surprises didn't end there. The potassium level in the soil is extremely high, beyond what is normally found in the environment. Potassium is usually released as wood and plants decompose, a silent witness to a long era of change and melting. According to Professor Farouk, as he said in an interview with the Jerusalem Post, the high potassium level and lower pH indicate prolonged organic decay. It's similar to what you would see if there was a large wooden structure that had been buried underneath for a long time. The acidity of the soil is also noticeable. Although the surrounding area is neutral, the soil within the formation is more acidic, a clear signature of the decomposition of organic matter. In the National Geographic report, they explained that the chemical analysis at the Durupinar site showed a unique chemical signature that is rarely seen in natural geological formations and indicates ancient organic material. As more data comes in, the sense of discovery grows stronger. Forbidden History of the Science Channel captured the moment when the researchers realized they had found something unusual. According to their narration, the team was surprised by the chemical imprints left in the soil. New evidence supporting the theory that a massive wooden vessel was once hidden here. William Crabtree, the group's soil scientist, spoke with a nearly reverent tone as he observed. The composition of the soil is unlike any natural formations we've seen. The high levels of organic matter and potassium are strong indicators of traces of decayed wood, according to his interview with Hurriyet. For him and the whole team, they don't just see numbers, but a story written in the language of the elements themselves. The discoveries also quickly spread in the media. Some consider it the last piece of a long-missing puzzle. Some thought it was proof that the story of Noah's Ark might have a literal origin, but the skeptics were not far behind. Many experts reminded everyone, extraordinary claims demand extraordinary evidence. But whatever the debate, the truth cannot be escaped. The very soil of Durupinar carries traces of a past that is both mysterious and real. The once simple boat-shaped hill has become a living laboratory, where every handful of soil is like a page from a book, revealing a story of what might have once been built here. As the scientists slowly arrange their equipment and the sun gradually sets behind the mountains, the hill remains silent. But thanks to the traces left behind by the soil's chemistry, the world now knows that something very special happened here. Something that left a lasting mark that reaches all the way to this day. The debate, natural or man-made? For many decades, the unusual hill in Durupinar has been the center of discussion, attracting intense curiosity and controversy. For some, it is simply a natural formation, a work of tectonic shifts, mud flows, and erosion. For others, it may be the oldest ship ever built. According to Dr. Lawrence Collins, a well-known geologist who has long been critical of theories connected to the Bible, there are many places in the world with similar formations. In his interview with Scientific American, he said, in Death Valley, California, you can also find formations just as vast and beautiful in shape, made only by wind and water, with no connection to ancient sailors. For him, the changing geological activity in eastern Turkey, earthquakes, landslides, and volcanic eruptions, is enough to create formations that can easily be mistaken for man-made. Not everyone is convinced that the explanation is that simple. When Dr. Ahmet Özbek and his team from Istanbul Technical University used ground-penetrating radar, their 3D scans revealed images that seemed to show symmetrical chambers, straight walls, and a central corridor more than 200 feet long. Özbek explained to The Guardian, parallel lines, right angles, these are not random. Nature does not create corridors. The discussion intensified further when the analysis of soil samples came out, showing high levels of organic material and potassium, chemical signatures that usually come from decaying wood. In the study by Dr. Jessica Parks from Oxford, published in Nature, they discovered lignin derivatives, an organic compound that can only be found in woody plants. According to Parks, this is not just ordinary soil, but more like the ghost of a structure that once stood here. However, critics were quick to respond. According to Dr. Elena Vasquez in Geology Today, it's possible that the same chemical traces are simply the result of buried plants, peat layers, or even termite nests. She advised everyone, extraordinary claims require evidence. While the experts struggle, the mystery deepens because of the stories from the locals. In the nearby village of Usingili, a farmer named Mehmet Yildiz shared that his grandfather told him he saw iron nails or rivets there when he was a child. In 2022, Ahmed Demir dug up a piece of stone with an engraving that looked like a tool mark. Amateur archaeologist Yusuf Kaya immediately recorded a video of it and posted it on YouTube, declaring that it was man-made. But Özbek remained cautious, as iron oxides can sometimes take on unusual shapes when subjected to extreme pressure. Without enough context, it's just a rock. Meanwhile, the media intensified the division of opinions. The ancient aliens of the History Channel called the place prehistoric and even showed an animated reconstruction of the ancient engineers. On the other hand, National Geographic released the documentary Ark or Accident, where they showed a computer-generated imagery simulation of mud flows that could possibly create the entire boat shape. On social media, the debate spread even more. The real Noah's Ark reached millions of views on TikTok, while on Reddit, the hashtag fake boat memes flooded in. According to Dr. Aisha Rahman, a religious studies professor interviewed by the British Broadcasting Corporation, it's not just about science, it's a cultural Rorschach test. What you see here depends on what you want to see, and that's the essence of the Durupinar Enigma. For some, it's a literal symbol of faith. For others, it's a natural wonder of nature. For the locals, it's a source of livelihood and tourism. In the year 2024, more than 120,000 people visited Noah's Ark National Park. That's 50% higher than the pre-pandemic numbers. There are gift shops selling miniature Ark replicas and t-shirts that say, "I survived the debate." But even the tour guides are cautious, says Aileen Demir. We show the truth, not fiction, but not everyone is happy about it. According to Emini Karahan, a local teacher, this valley used to be quiet. Now it's full of buses and more people are criticizing and mocking our stories. In the year 2025, the Turkish government allowed limited core drilling to obtain deeper soil samples. The researchers welcomed this, but the heritage conservationists condemned it. According to Dr. Apek Yilmaz, there's a risk that we might damage the very thing we're trying to understand. And in the end, Rabbi David Wolpe left a reminder in his op-ed in Time magazine. Natural men, or divine creation, this site reminds us that stories are what shape our civilization. The Ark is not just a boat, it's a metaphor for hope. As the sun sets on Mount Ararat and the hill remains silent, it is a mystery that may never be fully solved. But it will continue to inspire anyone, scientists, believers, or ordinary people who keep wondering which is it, a work of nature or a work of man? The terrifying fruits. What is hidden? It all started as an ordinary saying, a simple sweep beneath the ancient hills in Turkey. But as the data slowly appeared on the monitors, the entire team of scientists fell silent. One by one, shapes appeared that were not made by random stones and mud, but patterns that were clear, symmetrical, and seemed planned. It was as if something was hidden underneath, something more terrifying than they expected. Using ground-penetrating radar, they began to scan the depth of more than one. And there, a terrifying image appeared. Rectangular chambers like a honeycomb, a central corridor branching off into smaller paths, and what seemed to be fossilized wooden posts that had now turned to stone. Andrew Jones told the New York Post that what they saw appeared to be a ship's skeleton. But it wasn't just any ship, it was a massive vessel matching the exact scale described in the Bible. In deeper soil samples, scientists found marine sediment, pieces of shell, algae, and layers of mud that are usually found underwater. When subjected to carbon dating, the organic material was estimated to be from as far back as 4,800 years ago. It lines up exactly with the time of the so-called Great Flood. According to marine archaeologist Dr. Elena Marquez on British Broadcasting Corporation Future, this is not just a coincidence. We have evidence of a cataclysmic event that may have changed this region and the memory of humanity. The news spread quickly. The religious scholars, who once believed that the story of the Ark was just a metaphor, suddenly had doubts. Rabbi David Wolpe told the Jerusalem Post, "If this structure is real, we are forced to ask, how much of our sacred texts are metaphor and how much are literal history?" On the other hand, did creationist groups celebrate this on social media? A viral TikTok video that reached 12 million views showed an overlay of the scans and verses from Genesis with the caption, "The truth was buried and forgotten, but not for long." Of course, the critics were also present. According to Dr. Lin Chen, a geologist from Massachusetts Institute of Technology and Science magazine, marine layers and wood decay are common in floodplains. Immediately linking this to the Bible is a dangerous leap, but even he admitted that the corridors they saw couldn't be denied. According to Dr. Apek Yilmaz, a Turkish archaeologist at National Geographic, the symmetry is hair-raising. This isn't like a cave. This was designed. The mystery deepened even more when a sealed chamber was seen in the scans. No one knows what's inside it yet, but the thermal imaging showed there are hollow spaces, and the sonar readings revealed metallic anomalies. Are these relics, tools, or something even greater left behind? The researchers refused to speculate, but the world couldn't help but wonder. The History Channel aired a primetime special called Ark's Final Secret. They even showed a dramatized excavation where the so-called Noah's bones were found. The ratings went up, but the scientists were angry. Jones told Reuters, "We're not treasure hunters. This isn't Indiana Jones. This is a fragile and sacred site." As the findings increase, it's not just science that's involved, but also politics and religion. The Turkish government quickly approved more exploration permits. They see a big opportunity for tourism. But United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization warns that there is a risk of permanently damaging a cultural heritage site if it is not protected. Meanwhile, a group of imams gathered and began praying right at the site while drones flew overhead. According to the local guide, Azad Kamal, who spoke to Al Jazeera, this place is a bridge between two worlds. But are we ready to cross to where it leads? And as the sun sets in Durupinar, the most profound question remains hidden. What if the Ark is real? Not just as a metaphor, but as a physical vessel that survived a drowned world. Its memory is etched into every later civilization. The scans revealed diseases, but the truth remains buried, waiting, and in that waiting there is fear. Because some legends, once fully unearthed, may have the power to change not only the past, but also our future.